welcome back, everybody. This is going to be the C-Star League round of 8 against UConn, RIT against UConn. The winner of this match will actually go on to the LAN finals in Toronto, so it should be a hell of a game. I am Zingle. As always, joining me is Hachiko. How are you doing?
What is up, everyone?
So these two teams, although RIT does boast the better record, as you can see on this slideshow, they are 12-1 as opposed to UConn's 8-6. You have to remember both of these teams made it to the round of 8, and the fact that they made it to the playoffs, haven't lost and made it this far. This is going to be a good game regardless.
Well, one thing to note about RIT is they actually haven't played a playoff game yet because they got a bye in the first round. And remember last week,
That's true.
their game against Purdue was a forfeit.
So they haven't played a CSL game in probably 2 months now.
Something
But
like
they
that,
did,
yeah.
but they did stomp their way through both of the fall and spring season. So they do have something to prove. Show that they haven't gotten entirely rusty here. And if they win, I mean, they are already in I think earned $2,000. And if they win this one, that shoots up to, I believe, 5,000. Correct me,
4,000.
4,000, and the trip to Toronto. So it's a pretty big deal.
One thing to note about UConn is I've played them in the past. They've changed their roster a bit since then, but they've also upset MSU last week. Last week.
Right.
You really thought that MSU were going to take that over, but they clutched out in a 2-1.
Yeah.
And I think that had something to do with MSU having that bye game. It's when you're playing in CSL and you're not really playing every week. Once playoff hits, if you lose your motivation and you don't scrim anymore, and you end up in this single elimination match in the playoffs, it's definitely something could happen where the other team who has been playing, had more practice, or whatever, can cause an upset.
Mm-hmm. Also, last year UConn actually lost in the round of 8. So I'm sure this year, being right back into that round of 8 spot, back to back, they definitely have that extra motivation to just make that final leap into the LAN playoffs. So it should be a good game regardless, and it should be starting up very soon. But as always, before we get started, I'll have to say thank you to all of our sponsors. Hachiko,
All
if you
right.
would.
If you guys are interested in working in esports, we are hiring a social media manager, and head over to the cstarleague.com website for more information on that. And once again, there is a midweek campus clash going on, 25K on the line. It is actually already passed, so never mind about that. It's April 8th. Forget about that.
That was quite a
And
fun event to watch, though. So for all of you who missed it, you can watch the VODs and YouTube videos of it, but that was quite a fun match, quite a fun weekend of gaming.
you guys can also support collegiate Dota and esports in general, as Twitch, one of our sponsors, has created a community for the collegiate esports scene. You can find that at twitch.tv/communities/collegiate. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Band Gaming. Band is a social app and the primary social app of the CSL, with many features such as creating groups, boards, calendars, functions, polls, chats, and as of recent, call functionality. Band is a premier social experience for you and fellow gamers alike. Find out more at band.us/home or find them in the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. And I'd also like to thank Twitch. As always, nothing but gratitude for the largest streaming platform in gaming to support collegiate esports from PAX East and West, and many more events. The CSL wouldn't be what it is today without the help of Twitch. Be on the lookout for cool opportunities to get involved with Twitch in the future and show them some love on their social media, whether it's through Twitter or Facebook. And last but not least, the new sponsor for this season, we'd like to welcome Asus to the CSL family for the 2016 to 2017 season, provider of everything esports from all their wonderful products such as monitors, laptops, routers, graphic cards, motherboards, and more. Don't enter your next battle unless you're equipped with Asus, and I actually am. I'm using an Asus monitor here that I picked up, and it's pretty dope. 144 hertz, small plug there, and there is still that Asus contest going on. You guys need to submit a video. You can find out more about that on the C-Star League website, but basically what you got to do is just submit a video of your esports club. It can be about anything, whether it's like a video where you're using a camera to record or your phone or whatever, or just like a montage of plays that you've made in CSL, and submit that to the C-Star League email. The top 3 videos wins a laptop, and the esports clubs with the most entries wins $500, and the runners-up gets a bag of swag from Aces. So if you're interested in that, come check it out. I can find about more on the website.
Alrighty. And with this draft being underway, we're going to give a quick plug to our sponsor, then jump right in so we don't miss much. See you guys in a second.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Alrighty, so here we are in the draft. Let's talk through this first phase of bans. We are in 7.05, so we might see some changes, one of which being Treant Protector being added, and as expected it's banned out in the first phase, along with Keeper, Centaur, and Spear Breaker. So Keeper and Centaur, we've seen those all, they're all the rage in both pubs and CSL and pro matches everywhere. The Spear Breaker is kind of the odd one out here. Why do you think they do that? Did they watch? Did you watch the game last week? Because we were casting the other series while UConn was playing MSU. Did they
I
play
tuned in for a bit, but I think they might have.
All right. Well, yeah. If we were able to watch it, that would have been an interesting game. So I've heard. But Spirit Baker being banned out regardless, it's one of those aggressive, pace setters. Centaur, similar role.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. They ran it in 2 games.
Okay.
Both games they won with it.
That would make sense then. It's a respect ban right there, giving them a little, heads up right there. But we do see the first pick, Abaddon, coming out of RIT. That's a pretty common pick. It's a lane dominator. It counters a lot of the other off-laners that are relevant, so even if the other team does get a Magnus, for example, you can just purge off your own stun and then shield whoever else got caught in it, kind of counters. I don't know if it's a direct counter, but it is a nice response.
10 seconds remaining.
He's been nerfed quite a bit recently, but I wouldn't say in any way too significant. It just makes him a bit weaker overall.
And then we see Slardar and Venge coming out of UConn, the classic minus armor strategy. I'm assuming these are the 4 and 5 role because that's what we see it most often now, but it could always be a Slardar in the 3 and a Vengeful in the 1, who knows. I really like drafts like this that leave the ambiguity there, whereas on RIT, the Rubik is almost exclusively support, and Abaddon is almost exclusively offlane right now.
Yeah, they have a nice support or carry here. The thing about Venge is, as a carry, she's not a weak carry, but she's susceptible to getting like aggro lane and stuff like that. Just pressure onto her, just slowing down her farm a bit. Of course, she can still contest the lane, but if she starts to fall behind in farm, it's hard for her to come back because she doesn't have a way to flash farm.
Right. But at the same time, I think her hero does well with against aggression compared to some of the other, meta heroes like Troll Warlord, for example, or Terrorblade. Those
Yeah,
are
she
some
just
heroes
can't
if you
be
get ran at, you
left
just can't.
alone, pretty much.
Right. It's a really strong aggro or tri-laner, but you're not a, catch up and farm or, solo hard carry for the late game.
Yeah, she's good with like another support there that can do a bit of battling in the lane.
All right.
But it's nothing like a life stealer. That does get banned out here.
Yep.
So RIT is suggesting that it will be a support Venge.
Yep, it's a pretty safe assumption, too. And then UConn goes and bans the Lina, also a hero that's just kind of come up out of nowhere as of, just like a month ago with that respawn talent being minus 30. They did move it to level 15 as opposed to level 10. However, I don't think that's really stopped the hero from being relevant. I've still seen it picked all the time, and now at level 10 you can get the plus 80 damage or 125 cast range. Plus 80 damage on Light Strike Array. Let me correct that. Not right-click damage.
Yeah, you can go plus 80 and then it pretty much one-shots a creep wave, I think.
Yeah,
if you
with
use
both of your spells.
Yeah, you use both your spells
10
without
seconds
having to right
remaining.
click at all. So that's the build that Sumail went in DAC, and I think it's legit. It just basically changed her around a bit, made her a bit less annoying, having that 30 respawn timer at level 10 and just dying and immediately respawning, either coming back in the fight or just like split pushing a side lane or something
Right.
like that. That was just obnoxious to deal with. So I like the change. Didn't remove her from the meta at all, I don't believe.
Right. One of the most punishing things about dying is it's spending time off the map that you're not farming, and that just kind of solves that, throws that issue out the window. And
Maybe
then,
makes her less of a go-to every single game, but I think she's still a very solid pickup. And RT is deciding to ban TA here, but I was suspecting that UConn would get something like a Shadow Fiend, so I guess they couldn't hit both.
right. You got to
But
get
I would
at
be
least one of them out of the way, though, and then maybe
with
even
this
pick
minus
the
armor
other.
strat, I wouldn't be surprised if Shadow Fiend's coming out. It's probably not right now, but oh no, they go for the OD instead.
Alright, well that kind of throws the Shadow Fiend out the window. They could pick up Shadow Fiend on RIT. I'm pretty sure that matchup isn't as heavily favored for OD as other heroes would be. Obviously, there are still heroes that beat OD, but OD is a pretty strong laner and pretty good with the setup stuns from Venge and Slardar. If any heroes lock down and you just steal some intelligence from them, they just crumble.
It also limits the mid heroes that RIT can run in the mid lane right now, because with the roaming Slardar and OD, you definitely don't want to have any like heavy melee hero there.
Yep. Get too
They're just
close,
gonna
get
get
imprisoned and set up stunned on.
yeah, and they're gonna take a lot of damage from Arcane Orb too if he decides to go for that build.
Speaking of setup stun, if Slardar does go in the 3 role or if Vengeful goes in the 1 role, they could always go for the classic Leshrac or Mirana setup stuns onto the OD Imprison. We haven't seen that very much recently. I don't know if just like that hard roaming support is somewhat out of the meta now. Or I don't know. What do you feel about that?
I think people are favoring other roamers right now, like Slardar, Monkey King, Earth Spirit. So we don't see much of the Mirana anymore, but I still think that she's pretty good hero, especially transitioning into like a semi-core. She has pretty good talents, not the best in the world, but can farm quickly. But I think people favoring is the better roamers with some type of initiation ability, rather than trying to rely on an arrow.
Right.
Reserve time.
From RIT, we see the Sand King picked up, and I'm really a big fan of this offlaner. Because I believe it's actually going to be a dual offlane now with Sand King and Abaddon in dual offlane, and that's going to force these two supports to have to babysit bottom lane. Otherwise, whatever carry they pick for UConn, they will get ran over. And with the CM being picked up from UConn, that's going to hurt them a little bit, I believe, because it's a little bit of a squishy support, especially considering it's an Abaddon and Sand King who are very aggressive offlaners, and it's going to put Slardar in the offlane or Venge on the carry, which are both kind of susceptible to that pressure that these two add.
CM here, it's a hero that has been favorable in the meta because a lot of teams are just favoring these team fighting supports, and Crystal Maiden with her ultimate can never be ignored. When you have to use a stun to get rid of ultimate coming out from the Crystal Maiden, definitely limits your options, because you definitely can't let that just go in a team fight. It does too much damage to ignore. And in terms of the laning stage here, I think CM can fit.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, the way I see it is CM is a support that you really want to just be able to jungle as much as you can, because with CM's Frostbite, I believe it's called, you can just kill any big creep pretty much with 1 or 2 right clicks on top if any needed. You can get the Arcane Aura up, so you're helping all your lanes, and you can just play super greedy. But against the Sand King and Abaddon, you're kind of forced to babysit a little bit. And with a Slardar offlane, that's not really a hero that can pressure super hard. It's not a weak offlaner by any means, but it's definitely not one of the strongest. So I feel like the laning from UConn is just going to suffer. And with Tinker being picked up against the OD, that's not a matchup that super heavily favors one way or the other, but it's not one that can be won without help.
The Abaddon Sand King lane is very annoying to deal with. I've had to play against it a couple of times in pubs, and it's just notoriously hard to kill with the shield being put on the Sand King. You can just run in there, right click you with the caustic, and you can't. If you stand near the creep wave with these squishy heroes such as the CM and Venge, you're just gonna get popped.
Right.
between the shield and the caustic. It was kind of like surprise burst coming out. I mean, you should be able to expect it, but at the same time, um, when you're like fighting back and forth and the apodic shield pops and then the caustic pops and suddenly you're too low HP, the Sand King stuns you and you're dead.
So, how do you feel about this Terrorblade pick too? Because I like it here. I feel
I
like it
like
does
it
well against
because
UConn, and high armor is pretty good against Slardar in lane. So
they didn't show their offlaner yet, and yeah, high armor. Oh,
I did not expect that.
anti-mage last pick. So support Venge, offlane Slaughter. Yeah, but Terrorblade still is very good here. Anti-mage, of course, is pretty good against Tinker. Okay against Terrorblade. I would say it's even at most. Once he gets the illusions going with the meta, Anti-mage can have a problem fighting in that, but they have the OD. He can click down the illusions. I mean, he doesn't have a way to clear through them fast, but he does a bit of damage with the Arcane Orb.
Also, you gotta remember Terrorblade's Q, the spawns illusions of the enemy, and it does have the orb effect from Anti-Mage Mana Break, so if he manages to catch AM, get a few right clicks off and you run out of mana, that could just be a dead AM right there.
And even replicating the Venge with the aura is pretty significant as well.
5 seconds remaining.
Alright, so is there a team that you think just has an outright draft win, or is it just gonna be out down to gameplay?
I have to give it to RIT. They are kind of dependent on the Sand King having a pretty good game, and I think they might even have him play like the 3 role, having Abaddon kind of more supporting, because they don't have the best lockdown for split pushing anti-mage until they have Hex on the Tinker. I guess Rubik can still blink and get that lift off, but in terms of follow-up damage, they don't have much of it other than the Tinker.
Right.
And at some point, his damage is no longer enough because I'm sure he has the pure damage from the laser, but the rockets pretty much start doing nothing to AM once he gets a bit tankier and has his magic shield up.
Alrighty, well, with this game underway, it seems like I have the bug once again where I cannot control my camera, so I'm going to restart the game really quick. Meanwhile, can you do the introductions?
Alright, so on the side of UConn, we got Bellicoso on the Slaughter offlane. We got Village Fish on the Crystal Maiden Melody playing OD mid. Got Taunting Old G on the Vengeful Spirit and Ego playing the Anti-Mage. It's a fitting name for an Anti-Mage player. Ritz on the side of Ritz RIT. We got Ritz on the Sand King. Looks like probably just gonna share farm, but I'm not sure who's the offlaner here. But we got Eradicate on the Abaddon. He's probably playing the 3 role actually. We got Evidin on the mid Tinker and X3 playing Terrorblade and Matau 32 on the support Rubik. And it looks like they're just gonna go for the 2-1-2 lane setup that we predicted. Not really a big surprise there with AM standing right on top of a ward here.
Yeah, that's pretty convenient. Did he scout that out? I had to restart so I couldn't see, or is it just coincidence?
No, he's just standing there.
Alright. He's not just marking for his team. Hey, there's something here, boys.
The battle begins.
Alright. So, with this AM as the carry, with these 2 short-range, kind of squishy range supports, I feel like this offlane's gonna go well for RIT, and AM might suffer in last hitting. It really just depends on how well they can control this lane and keep it back behind tower, near tower.
They can do a fairly good job of fighting. They pretty much have to prioritize level 2 on both their supports and AM. And with Blink, Mana Break, Crystal Maiden decides to level up her 2 spells instead of the Arcane Aura, they can have a fighting chance. And if they do that and start to get a couple of kills here onto either the Abaddon or the Sand King, I feel like they could actually win this lane pretty hard. It's going to go down to pretty much what happens in this first 2 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, this lane is going to be a very active one. And actually, the aggression is going to come out from UConn first. They're going to have Mana Break skilled up at level 1, but that's going to put Ego in a pretty bad spot under the creep wave. There is no Caustic Finale, luckily, so he can just walk away here and salve up without that being popped.
Alright, so there's a trade to regen going on there.
That does typically favor the offlane because they have that shrine and because they're not the ones that are like, you get farm or you lose game, whereas that is pretty much the case for AM. But at the same time, this matchup, if AM goes for like a Vanguard, which we've seen as a pretty typical build recently, and you just trade hits so Abaddon and Sand King don't have mana, you really have nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, I like to see the supports try to pull as soon as possible right now. Otherwise, they're going to lose this lane. Because if they fall behind in experience, both these heroes get level 2 and they're significantly harder to kill. You got the Curse of Vern is probably going to be leveled up, and with Caustic as well, they're so much more annoying in the lane.
Even without mana, you just kind of click them with your passives.
Yeah, 'cause they don't really care about AM burning their mana. They'll happily take the trade, especially with the Shrine also available for them.
Alright, so let's check over on mid. It seems like the CS is fairly even. Tinker is coming out a little bit ahead right now, 7-5 against the 4 and 5 of OD, but OD has creeps under tower. So this matchup so far is pretty even. Does it scale heavily one way or the other? Or is it going to be pretty much a wash for as long as we can see?
I think it starts out a bit Tinker favored, but then OD, if he goes for the max Astro build, he can just Astro the wave, and there's not much Tinker can do about that. He just doesn't end up last hitting with his auto attack anymore. He uses the damage from his Astral if he just preps the wave, but right now Tinker is going to have a bit of an advantage. Not even significant, as OD is actually caught up, so say it's fairly even mid matchup. OD is definitely one of the heroes that can go against Tinker, and Tinker one of the heroes that can go against OD pretty well.
Well, we see a double damage rune on the Sand King coming into this bottom lane, but it doesn't look like they want to dive the tower. Vengeful Spirit's actually trapped, and she is stuck in between a rock and a hard place here, and she might end up feeding First Blood. She might get away here and have Rits die first, but no. Vengeful Spirit will lose First Blood towards the Abaddon, but Abaddon might also go down here. Ego getting the response kill onto Ritz is unable to secure that last hit onto Abaddon, and he is at the shrine, so it will just be a 1-for-1. Goes in favor of Abaddon, but having AM get the last hit kind of helps the aggression that they're putting on him. Because if you get free kills, then
he's going a pretty greedy build for this lane. Not putting a point in Crystal Nova. That's just a really strong spell. I think they would have killed the Abaddon if they had that. But now she's even going to put 2 points in Arcane, so really focusing, trying to help out her mid laner in terms of his mana pool.
And unfortunately,
sure that he doesn't get Unlucky Essence or a procs, but
unfortunately with that pull bottom and that little fight, there's a triple range creep and a siege creep headed towards the tower, so as long as Abaddon doesn't die in the next like 20 seconds, this lane is going to be a big win. Meanwhile, mid lane, there is going to be a gank here onto Evade, and the last right click coming out of Village Fish to get the kill, and now Ritz is going to be chased. He's going to get uphill right before the stun connects, and now he's going to be next to the Shrine with a TP rotation coming in. The Shrine will actually be wasted before he comes out of the Imprison, so he'll only heal up a little bit of it.
That Tinker kill was so close. In cases like this, I like to see the CM actually put Crystal Nova, but I guess she's just kind of going back to normal build that she goes, but it's kind of game dependent on CM, honestly. If you're playing greedy, for sure this is the build, but if you're planning on ganking and having to go against the aggro dual lane, the point in Crystal Nova is just too valuable to pass up. And Ritz scouting out with the Invis right now. We might see Village Fish go down.
170 health sitting in the jungle against an Invis. That's just unfortunate timing that he got an Invis rune on Ritz, but sitting in the jungle at 100 health is typically a pretty scary move to do.
It's pretty standard death for a support hero, you know. You just farm in the jungle, you want to stack for your carry or something. Random hero shows up with a haste rune or invis rune and you just die. But with the supports roaming out, they're going to leave AM alone, but he's doing fine, it seems like, against Abaddon.
And it looks like he is getting close to the Vanguard. Having the Ring of Health first is just such a nice advantage. It's almost like having a permanent Tango. And with the Blink as an escape, there's almost no way that he dies here, as long as he plays a little bit cautiously and doesn't tank like a full creep wave and Stun and Caustic Finale and 5 creeps. I don't see him
he's
going
doing
down.
Pretty well compared to the Terrorblade, considering he's against the aggro dual lane.
But that's also, you know, not necessarily the best situation for them. AM doesn't really hit that strong timing when Terrorblade does. Terrorblade has a few weird peaks, but one of them is, you know, minute 10, 15, you can just tear down towers whenever you have Metamorphosis up. And if this AM is going for this Vanguard build, yes, he is going to be a little more able to fight, but you're not going to have much of a damage output or farming potential. So
Especially with the Tinker behind him and an Abaddon. There's not much they can do to stop the pushes, actually. As we see Tinker, yep.
really weird fight going on mid. He actually jukes into the trees and just stands behind them for long enough to stay alive and have his supports for TP in to help him. And now it looks like it might be Vengeful Spirit going down here. One more right click coming out of the Rubik here will secure that kill. Actually, it's the Caustic pop that does. And now RIT's going in a little bit too deep. Wants to get more and probably will just die to that Imprison. It's doing 250 damage with one extra right click. Maybe not. The
Oh man,
leveled up Sandstorm, which is kind of unique, gets him away.
I hate to beat a dead horse, but this no point in Crystal Nova is actually hurting them so much now.
Yeah, getting away with 20 health. They do manage to get the sentry and ward down, but not quick enough.
Because it's not like she didn't start with a decent amount of clarities as well. She had 2 clarities, they're not bad, so well, now she's gonna have it, but definitely cost them a bit there.
Mm-hmm.
I was meant to have this.
So, with these offlaners, both of them hitting level 6, I actually think this is going to favor the side of UConn a little bit. Having that amplify with Venge roaming around, they should be able to get a kill onto Terrorblade. And it's kind of happens when you're as a safe lane carry and you just get this free farm lane, you kind of just get too passive and get too complacent. And then having this gank that actually might be coming right now with Vengeful Spirit and CM rotating top could be enough just to pop him. And he does have Metamorphosis, or sorry, Sunder, but he already used it. So if they do manage to go on a gank on him now, he might just end up dying.
Yeah, he has a decent amount of armor, but they do have the nukes.
Rubik is smoked
it's-
up and going to get a ward down. He does get it in time, get it up, but it is not in time to scout that rotation.
Let's do the math here. They actually don't have enough. If he just swaps strength in the middle of that, and the Rubik lifts to help, they're not gonna be able to kill him. So they're gonna try now.
It will be
Alright, he
enough.
didn't get there in
The
time for
Crystal
the
Nova securing the kill. Bellicoso will actually get the kill, but there is the TP rotation from Ritz on the Sand King, and it looks like Bellicoso will go down. No, he actually gets away with 42 health, and if this Caustic Finale pops, he'll have 5 health left. And meanwhile, Vengeful Spirit's going to be going. He won't dive the tower there. Maybe one more right click would have secured it, but they get a 2 for 0, and
Wow,
they're
that
definitely
was
happy
so
with
close. He just needed to be able to tread swap in time, and the Rubik, if he was just slightly closer, would have been able to keep them off. But
that. I don't know if you caught that mid lane, but the Tinker walked up right near an imprisoned creep, and Tinker was sitting at 200 health, so he just died to the pop as OD was walking away. Too cool to look at the explosion from his imprison, and he gets the free pick off mid.
is he trying to last it or something? What was
Yeah,
he doing
Tinker
there?
walked up. I think he was going to laser the range creep and then get back, but the imprison ran out too quickly and just popped him.
Alright, Max Astral.
Yeah, it's
Not
I've
expecting
seen
the
this build occasionally, but typically you see at least 1 point in your Arcane Orb or your ultimate at this point, and you max Essence Aura just so you don't run out of mana. But the way Melody's been playing it, he's been doing everything pretty well, so it feels like he knows what he's doing, and I'm not gonna critique his build at all, especially after getting multiple kills in this mid lane, being 1-0-1 against a lane that's typically not that great for him.
So after those series of events, UConn actually looking very good now, as you were saying before.
Yeah.
With the Slaughter hitting 6, they definitely found the gank. It was a close one there. Didn't really look that way, but for sure I could see Terribly getting out.
Yeah. The one issue I see is that the Terrorblade is far ahead on CS, and this AM went for Vanguard, so he's not going to really be able to compete with Terrorblade's farming speed. With this Conjure Image, you're just able to flash farm the entire jungle. You're able to take towers if they don't contest you. And this could be like the biggest problem right now. And then of course they have the Tinker to stall out the game and go ultra late if they want to. Terrorblade and Tinker is quite a scary late game combo, so RIT definitely not out of it quite yet, but things are looking pretty even. And if you look at the net worth graph, it's only 500 in favor of I believe that's UConn, and the net XP is 200 in favor of RIT, so pretty even game.
AM versus Tinker is kind of a weird matchup because AM kind of owns Tinker before he has Hex, then once he gets Hex, he owns Anti-Mage for a bit until like Anti-Mage gets a way to deal with it like BKB. I'd say both teams have a pretty decent chance at a late game, but
It really depends on how these fights start. If AM manages to jump and blow up a Tinker at the start of a fight, obviously they'll come out ahead. But once this Tinker gets a sheep, or if they get like a blink stun on Sand King with a Terrorblade, what's it called, reflection up onto the AM could just die at the start and it could be turned around the other way. So I think this game is still in anybody's field.
Especially if the Abaddon scales with some clowny Radiance thing.
Meanwhile, mid lane, there is going to be a rotation from Terrorblade, and with OD just being caught out like that, he's going to blow up in a few right clicks. They are going to look for a little bit more there, and the Illusion got that last right click. It was not enough to kill the Vengeful Spirit as well, so they will get the 1 for 0. Now they're going to back off. Shrine will not be up, unfortunately, and that's going to be the end of their push. So the fact that they sent 4 heroes mid for that makes it a little bit better for the side of UConn. They lost their mid, yeah, it's bad, but the time spent for it and the time that AM just gets to farm, it's not the end of the world once again.
It's also meta used for pretty much nothing other than an OD kill. Normally you want to commit it for a tower or something, but I'd say still worth it here. He's going to be able to jungle the Ancients with it, so yeah. Definitely not a bad meta usage, honestly.
And that's the thing about this hero. It's that your Metamorphosis is your real ultimate. Sunder, you know, it scales to a very short cooldown, and at 25 you could have it a 10-second cooldown. But if you use your Metamorphosis then die, or if you use Metamorphosis then, you know, Aegis respawn and die, you're not really going to do nearly as much in these fights, and you can't really push nearly as hard.
It doesn't look like OD's gonna go greedy build with a Midas. I've seen Midas actually so common now.
Because
Since
it's just the XP
7.05 hit, because of the gold, isn't it? They nerfed the experience.
There's the blink reveal from Slardar. They do manage to get a kill onto the jungling Tinker, and Tinker is a very sad boy right now. If you see, he's nowhere near his bots. He's still 1,000 gold off, and he just died again in his own jungle. He is 0 and 3, and he's just trying to grasp at straws here, getting some farm where he can. And now that Slardar has a blink, AM has, you know, built-in blink, it's going to be much more difficult for him to find that. Because he really needs a blink as well as his bots in order to be safe. So he's still like 3,000 gold off
back here as well.
Yeah, it's a triple stack. They don't really have the best way to clear it, but with 3 heroes, there's it's a pretty safe time to take it. And with that, they could also just pressure this tier 1 bottom. Like I was saying earlier, with this Vanguard, AM has almost nothing to fear from Abaddon. You just burn all the mana and then just trade hits for days. And the tower is looking pretty tasty right about now.
AM's actually deceptively strong with this Vanguard build. He's really able to go right in there. They don't have the best damage to deal with him at this point.
So do you think... Yeah, okay. I was going to ask you if he's going to go back for the Battle Fury, and it looks like he will. Because you're against the Terrorblade, the Battle Fury is nice, but you could also, you know, there's room to argue for a Mjolnir, and you just use that to worry about illusions, and helps you farm up and fight earlier on. But the Battle Fury, I'm all for it. Nothing really crazy or exceptional going on with that pick. And it looks like these supports are going to go on the Abaddon. Abaddon still has his ultimate, so even if they manage to take it, he's not going to go down. Unless I'm wrong there is the swap and the blink stun from Slardar. They will get the kill onto the Abaddon.
Oh, Crystal made an ulti.
Doesn't look like we'll be able to get RIT, but if X3 just teleports in on the Terrorblade and goes down within a few seconds.
They use meta there too. You can't ignore Crystal made an ult.
Yep. And this is what I was talking about.
the
If you go in,
Terrorblade
you use your meta, and you die, you're kind of useless for 2 minutes. And the aggression from UConn is just far exceeding expectations here. This Vanguard paying dividends, and now they get a 4 for 0 and a tower in this bottom lane. Everybody dying except for Tinker. So I guess that's the silver lining.
Slaughter to be able to do so much at this point with this blink, but it's finding the initiation.
Elite gold going the way of UConn, a 2,000 gold swing, 2,500 XP. This is
bots for Tinker, but it's coming very late.
Yeah,
Normally
that's the
him to have
only
it.
silver lining right now.
I think you expect him to have blink by now, but he's only getting his bots.
I think this game now becomes a Tinker game. If Tinker is able to stall these pushes, you know, stall the dives by just lasering a hero when they go in too deep, AM against a Tinker until you get that Manta is not really that effective. So maybe if Tinker can hold off long enough, Terrorblade can get big enough, they still have a pretty good shot at this game. But with that last fight, if you look at the graph, it shot from almost even to 6,000 or 5,000 in favor of net worth and 3,000 in favor of XP towards UConn.
Well, they have to really watch themselves in team fights, because if Tinker gets caught out under vision, AM can just blink in and blow him up with the mana void.
So I really think just if Bellicoso can keep up the pressure, keep this Tinker kind of down and out of the game for the next 5 minutes before that blink comes online, they're going to be in a much better position to close out this game probably in about 10 minutes once this AM gets time to farm. Because right now he still doesn't have the Battle Fury, he's just going back for it. Around 20 minutes he'll probably have it. And then,
think about it, they're far ahead, but it's not like they have a lineup that can really push their advantage that super hard. So...
But that's why if Bellicoso manages to keep the advantage stagnant at where it is, or even further ahead, they're going to be in a very happy position. Yeah, pause coming out of Slardar here. If we look at the net worth, the top three of the top 4 net worths all in favor of UConn, and all of their cores being above 6,000 net worth at 17 minutes. This is a pretty weird game because all of the distribution. Normally, you see the offlaner like is way down below, like we see on the other team. Abaddon's down at 4K net worth, but in this, they're pretty even in farm distribution right now. And I think that's really playing into their early game, 17-minute push timing, or not push, but aggression timing.
Yeah, Bellicoso had a very good start.
Which is weird because Terrorblade is high armor, high regen, and if you have a poor man shield, which I believe he went very early on, it's hard for Slardar to really get much out of that lane.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I didn't look top, so I'm not sure how the laning stage went there, but I mean, it could be down to things like Rubik not getting the pulls off that he needed to, and then them not committing the meta to zone out the Slaughter early, so he got a bunch of levels, and then after that they couldn't really contest him anymore, especially with that gank coming in. But he was already level 6 at that point, so it was pretty much showing that he already had a good lane after the gank, or before the gank even came onto the Terrorblade. And now he has a Force Staff.
Oh, on Bellicoso, I was looking at the OD, I was like, yeah, he's had a Force Staff, but with 2 Force Staffs now, it's going to be even harder for any of these kills to happen, because Terrorblade has chasing issues. After the initial blink stun from Sand King, it's really hard to stay on top of enemy heroes, so any sort of response from RIT is already being handled by these Force Staffs.
With a offlane hero like Abaddon, he can split push, he can TP in to save someone, but he definitely can't set up a gank that well, or at all, pretty much. And it's really dependent on the Sand King, as I was saying during the drafting phase. So he'll have his blink now, and we'll see what they can do with it. They can't really just go for a big 5-man play, so I don't think they're ready for that yet, but getting some type of gank off, giving their cores more time to farm definitely can bring them back into the game.
So with RIT, yeah, there's the blink on Sand King, and Evaden on Tinker is only 600 gold away. These dual blinks could just be their, biggest chance to come back into this game. But once again, if UConn just keeps farming up like they are right now, the net worth is not going anywhere back near in RIT's favor.
They're arguably not playing greedy enough, in my opinion. So I like to see a Midas. Yeah, UConn. I like to see a Midas on one of their heroes, OD, Crystal Maiden, something like that, so they can scale. Because they're not gonna do anything for like the next, I would say, like 10 minutes. When AM is farming, right?
Right.
So they don't really need these fighting items quite yet. And I guess it's gonna help them when the Sand King initiates with his blink and RIT go for a gank, but
maybe they have a different plan than you, and they are looking to fight. This Slardar has a queued up Echo Saber, and that's definitely a fighting item, not a farming item.
Because normally you expect like a Midas on Slardar next, or like OD or Crystal Maiden, but they're going for all fighting items. They got Hurricane Pike Force Staff now, the Glimmer on Crystal Maiden, so maybe this suggests they do want to fight with this AM once he gets his Yasha, I guess.
I'm down for it. This is I like aggressive games, and so far 10-4 at minute 20, this has been fairly passive aside from that one big fight bottom.
Yeah, because they've done nothing but farm for like the past 6 minutes or something. So
And I guess that's just kind of the name of the game too. There's an AM, there's a Tinker, there's a Terrorblade. These heroes are the quintessential, farming, late game, scaling heroes.
this is a bit strange not seeing Midas after I watched some NA Dream League games, I believe, and everyone was buying Midas. There's at least 4 per game.
It looks like there will be an attempted gank mid. Terrorblade is sitting in the river. The Blink stun from Bellicoso will kind of harass down the TB, but I don't think he's going to be looking to, or either side is going to be looking to fully commit here. There will be a secondary stun here, but with Abaddon sitting behind and the Blink stun from Sand King, there will be a nice turnaround here. 2 going down almost immediately to the Rocket Barrage, and, or not Rocket Barrage, that's Gyro, but regardless.
That's just the best way they could hope to start a fight is for them to initiate on TB, him get saved by Abaddon, and then Sand King coming in.
And now off of that, they have really good tower push potential with Abaddon having a Vlad's and this Curse of Avernus Aura, and then Terrorblade just tearing into the towers from afar. That's something that they always have to take into account on UConn. Despite how this game is going for them so far, their buildings are never safe. And if they look away for even a second, they could just see their base crumble. And if they lose a single fight, like we've seen, it can easily be converted. The one bright side is that the Terrorblade Metamorphosis was used, so now they have a minute and a half to just kind of take over the map once again and hopefully make something happen, but they may
Not
just...
a bad blink reveal on the Sand King.
Oh, for sure. He got it about a minute before, but he was playing very carefully not to show it. He was just sitting on that high ground by the shrine for about a minute. Even when that Slardar made that first blink initiation, he did not go and take the bait. And now it looks like there will be another blink initiation here onto RIT. But with the Abaddon, with the Abaddon there to just turn that around, it doesn't matter how good that stun is on Slardar, it can just be instantly purged off. And it looks
they're
like
looking to transition that into a top tier 2 push.
Yep, they know
Can they
Epicenter.
actually do this though? There's no epicenter, there's no meta, but the march is going to be pretty annoying, right?
He's not there yet. He's not already set up, and the fact that they can get to the tower without it already being defended, they have a deep ward behind it as well.
Out. What's going on?
Maybe a little bit of a miscommunication, maybe a little bit of a greed play. This could come back to punish them because it looks like RIT is wanting to defend.
They need to get out of here.
Yeah, the deep ward from UConn lets them see the defense coming, so they will get out early.
They saw the Abaddon TPN.
A little bit greedy. Melody is farming the enemy jungle under dire ward, but it looks like with the Glimmer Cape and just walk away, he will be okay. And in bottom lane, Ego trading hits with the Terrorblade. His mana being burned by his own illusion, so he has to be a little bit more careful. And it's back to farming. Evading farming in weird but safe spots. Terrorblade just farming away. He's almost at his Manta. He's only 500 gold off, and AM is approaching the Manta too. He's about 2,000
The top lane, we see the epicenter come out, but it's not enough. But
Terrorblade
Odie
coming
still
in.
goes down there.
Tears apart the
Terrorblade.
TP. Village Fish will try to TP away, but will get zapped up by the both Tinker and the Rubik, I believe, and it will be a 2-for-2 at the end of the day. The mid and support going the way of the offlaner, dual offlane. Ego does get a tower, at the very least, tier 2 bottom. The little bit of rat spit push play is coming into effect here. And with this 7.05 change, they are favoring split pushing. I don't know if you remember the change, but they lowered the base armor on towers, I believe, by 1, 2, or 3. And they increased the armor.
It's by 3 armor.
3. And then they increased the armor per hero per enemy hero pushing the tower by 1 per instead of 2. Or sorry, by 1, so it is now 3 instead of 2 per hero. So it does favor, I believe, 5-man push as opposed to a 1-man push. There's like 35% more effective health when it's 5-man. So having this AM just solo pushing tower is a little bit easier than it was before.
Or is it 3?
Yes, it is 3.
Armor 16. Sounds right. Might be 2 though. Because like, look at the tier 2, it has 16 armor.
Where?
Tier 2 has 16 armor. Shouldn't it be? It's normally, it was 18, right?
I don't remember what it was before, but I'm talking about the stacks per hero is 3.
Yeah, the stacks per hero. Yeah.
Anywho, the game is still sitting at only 12 to 8 kill score. It looks like the speed should be picking up soon, though. Tinker has been more active on the map, just blinking and botsing around everywhere, and he's going to be going Ags next. So even when this AM gets the Manta style, you just kind of laser a creep, and none of it is really effective.
So AM with this Basher is gonna be able to solo kill people. That's gonna be very scary.
Assuming he gets lucky and gets a bash. It is 25%, so it is a pretty nice chance, but, you know, there are the times where you blink on somebody and you just don't bash for 4 hits and they get away, and then you're just stuck in a very bad spot.
Yeah, but on something like a Tinker, he doesn't really have much counterplay. When the Manta comes out, he doesn't have his Ags quite yet, and it's hard to immediately find the right AM, because he's taking a ton of damage in that time.
Looks like there will be a gank top. RIT smokes up. They find the Vengeful Spirit. They blink stun him, but there is a response from Slardar. Stuns up the Abaddon, so there is no shield to instantly save him. Now Ritz and Eradicate stuck under the CM ultimate, and it will barely... Actually, Ritz will get away there. And now this Terrorblade coming back in and cleaning up. It will be a 1-for-0 so far. Ego has to run away from this right click on Terrorblade.
The stolen Corrosive Haze.
And Ritz is still alive there. That Abaddon kept him up with that shield, and he barely managed to just get away. I think he went back in for a secondary stun. Both him and
In. Melody getting baited on the right side here.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, Ego is going for a return play there. He will get the bomb off onto the support, I believe. Gets a double kill and blinks into the tree line. However, there is range attacks from X33. If that right click comes from the illusion, it will kill him, but it will. That's a pretty good play. He realized the right click wouldn't have reached for this Terrorblade, so instead he just brings the AM illusion to do his dirty work. So sorry, what happened in this other area with OD?
Yeah, OD was trying to chase down the Tinker, but he was able to blind him and blink away. Then he got chased into the trees and killed.
Alright, so that was an interesting fight after a pretty dull mid-game and early game.
But they lose both their cores there on UConn, so it's a huge win there for RIT.
And they lost the Venge at the start of the fight as well. So that was, I believe, a 3-for-2, with AM getting the double kill. And off of that, it looks like the net worth is stagnating, looking a little bit spiked back down towards RT, but it's still pretty safely in favor of UConn, and the XP is in a pretty similar fashion.
So let's tinker with Ags now.
Oh, didn't quite catch him, but...
300 gold, but he's gonna have it very soon, and it's very strong in this game. Most of your damage is coming from the clicks, the right clicks coming out from Melody and Ego, and with the laser bouncing through, they have really no way to get rid of that right now. At least on the OD, which is a critical part in how they got a kill on him there. He went in deep to try to kill the Tinker, but the mischance really hurting him.
Yeah, and not only the mischance from the laser, but there is a Solar Crest up on Abaddon. They have the defensive plays from Abaddon, and now Terrorblade as well. Is sitting on 4,600 gold. He has a BKB queued up, but he could just go right for that Scotty, boost his effective health and damage way, way up. And then, even if the mischance isn't there, they might have trouble dealing all that health to the Terrorblade, or all that damage to the Terrorblade. Ritz is looking for the kill. Top lane, they find Ego in the trees, just barely, but he'll get that second blink away. Instead of going in the trees, he just goes back into the lane. And I think the ward might scout him out, so they see that he's going to farm this camp, and they're pinging him out, but I don't know if they have any good way to catch him here.
Yeah, what I was trying to say before is the late game is pretty even from both sides, but it's dependent on this OD kind of scaling, because AM is going to get 6 slotted. It's just inevitable, but the OD, since he didn't go any farming item like the Midas, he's already starting to fall behind the Tinker.
Yeah.
After just one bad engagement.
And remember, this is a Tinker that got a 15-minute bot, so he's by no means like way ahead of the game. It's just that this OD is not able to scale with his build, and they haven't really been as active with that early lead as they could have been. So if you're not farming creeps and you're not farming heroes and towers, it's really hard to stay ahead of a Tinker that's doing all of the above.
Yeah, so even though they had the kind of the right idea going for these fighting items, trying to just put on the pressure, it's gonna put them behind in farm compared to if they just went the greedy build on Midases, because it's not like they're gonna get pressured that hard by RIT at that point, because they're pretty far behind, as we said before.
Right.
But Now, if you look at the net worth, it's starting to go slowly back down to favor RIT. It's more staying stagnant at this point, but I would say if the net worth remains even at this point, and the game gets later, like super late, it's definitely gonna favor RIT.
Well, we see UConn. They know that's the case. They don't want that to happen, so they go to Ro8. This is the first time they're doing it at 30 minutes. It's a very strong Ro8 lineup, having Slardar and Vengeful for the minus armor. They managed to take it really quickly, and Aegis up on AM, and now he has a Abyssal coming out on the Courier. This could be their time to just secure the game, force a high ground push possibly, or this tier 2 at the very least. They lose bottom tower, but that's, it's inevitable. It's going to happen eventually, and with Terrorblade, it's going to be even more likely.
Oh, that's Abyssal for AM.
Yep. Melody looking for Tinker in the trees, just barely misses his TP out. I don't know if AM has showed the Abyssal yet, but if he hasn't, this could be just a kill on anybody he finds. Tinker playing pretty carefully here. He knows something's up in this top lane. Nobody on Radiant has really shown anywhere else other than this top lane in the past.
They're probably just gonna give this tower away.
Oh, he goes in for the defense,
my.
and both Ego and Slardar blink to try to get where he TPs, and they both miss him, or miss timing. And Tinker just blinks away and TPs out.
They're wasting quite a bit of time. This tower could already be dead.
Yep. They want the kill on Tinker, because they know if they kill Tinker, they can either A, force a buyback, or B, not have a Tinker buyback and just force high ground.
Tinker actually going for bots 2 here.
Bots 2. Interesting that he doesn't opt for,
And he will buy it.
a Scythe or anything like that. Bots 2 will let him just be more active on the map, though. He will always be able to follow around to the Sand King. In this bottom lane, the Terrorblade will be caught, but he is super tanky. He did go for that Scotty, and now AM jumps on him and starts hitting him up. He does have a 0 mana cost Sunder, and he will Sunder the Illusion. Heal back up a little bit, but it will not be enough to keep him alive.
Oh, the laser!
But at the same time, Tinker is coming in to clean up some work. That is 3 going down already for the side of UConn. And a 3
Man, if
for
he
1
chose
there.
a slightly better Sunder target there, he would have lived, but he kind of panicked and clicked on anything he could find.
Right, he
So
was sticking low in his
the
defense.
Yeah.
Alright.
He was also surrounded by a lot of units, so...
So they kill Terrorblade, which is great, but they lose 3. And that's not really what they're looking for, especially with this Aegis. They're looking to get a good fight or a good pick off and then push off of it, but with 3 heroes dead, that's no longer an option.
That's such a nice looking laser, and this OD is already starting to fall behind significantly at this point compared to the Tinker and the Terrorblade. And this is not what they want, because AM is going to have a pretty fast fall off here. He's very strong right now, but in 10 minutes, not so much, especially once his Hex comes out.
Oh, Ego's actually going to turn around this gank right onto the Tinker. The evasion is going to be there, but will it be enough to save him? No, but the Glimmer Cape will be, and now Ego is stuck pretty deep, but he will just be able to blink away, and no one else will chase him.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, I was going to
Alright.
question his build. He is going for a Butterfly here, not like an MKB or a BKB or anything defensive. I guess MKB is offensive too, but it kind
I
of
think
stops
he
the
needs to
evasion.
save his BKB for last. That's his last final power spike there, with his 10-second BKB coming out as his last item.
And if he had the Butterfly there, that would have been a kill for sure. They will look to go for a Terrorblade kill top. They have the Blink from Slardar. They have the AM ultimate. And they get him right before the Sunder. He actually canceled the Sunder animation with his ultimate on AM. And that is the pickoff that they were looking for originally. And with that, that's going to be guaranteed tier 2 going down. And they're going to try to force a buyback here if they can. Because this Aegis is going to be expiring in about a minute and a half. And they want to look to get something out of it.
This is a pretty critical point in RIT's game right now. This is where they definitely can lose. It's for both teams, honestly. UConn's trying to win in the next 10 minutes to 20 minutes, while RIT is just trying to hold. And I think they can, even without the Terrorblade. They don't have to buy back here. Tinker's
They just
really
chain
strong
stunned
still.
AM there so much, and he's sitting at 200 health, so he has to decide to commit and lose the Aegis and kind of waste time, or just back off and hope to, live another day. And it looks like they might just be content going for a mid-tier 2. Actually, they're just going to back off Shrine up? No, Shrine's not even up, so they're just backing off entirely. They're not looking to force anything else off of this Terrorblade kill.
Isn't this a Lincoln's AM game? Do you think Butterfly
Ags.
actually helps him that much?
I would like to see an
Ags?
Ags AM because
But then
Ags.
he can't dodge the Sunder then.
Oh, you know that's pretty silly because it
And-
just turns the Sunder back on him. I didn't think
Yeah.
of that mechanic because yeah, Lincoln's counters the Sunder because it doesn't let it be cast. In Ags, it counters the Sunder and then it just casts it back. So AM is sundering the Terrorblade, but that doesn't really matter because regardless, the two heroes are switching health.
And it's annoying with the Sand King as well.
Yep.
When the Sand King stuns him, he stuns him like he stuns in.
Because yeah, the
And he
other
only
situation.
stuns it too. Because with Link or with Lotus Orb, they kind of swap. But with the Ags, he just stuns in. So it looks kind of silly because the AM, if he wanted to get away, is now just put himself in the middle of all their heroes.
But yeah, normally the Ags AM is bad against the Legion commander for the same reason. It doesn't stop duel, but I never really considered it against Terrorblade. I'd like to see
third
it.
heroes that you rather go Lincolns than Ags.
I would like to see it because it's kind of silly, but it's not necessarily the best pickup. Oh, I never thought of that. That would be fun to see.
Especially if someone just bought Ags and didn't realize, then that happened.
However, another good reason to get a Ags this game is that Tinker is almost at a sheep stick. So if Tinker doesn't see this Ags or he does it at the wrong time, blinks in and sheeps AM, that's just going to be a dead Tinker, as he will be the one sheeped up. And an AM against a sheep Tinker is just, that's food for slaughter.
So he does go for the Butterfly. He's already bought that Eagle song,
Right.
so he's pretty committed. And it's going to make him a lot stronger in terms of his just raw right-click
Yeah.
potential.
I'd say the real determining factor right now is whatever he decides for his next item. It looks like he will be going the Ag Scepter, so we may be seeing some silliness going on with a Sunder. But
The Thunder, the Sand King. I want to see an AM stun some heroes. Imagine if it actually works out for them, where the Sand King stuns him, and then he gets like
he gets right into the center of everyone.
a two-man, three-man stun with Sand King stun, reflection.
Alright, so Ritz right there on Sand King cuts the creep wave. AM's trying to push here, but he doesn't have his team with him, and he just has to get back. There will be a full defense mounted from the side of RIT, and it looks like they might go for the AM here now, but he's gonna blink away and be fine. Bellicoso meanwhile
Abaddon
just
has
farming.
double evasion here. You
What does
got
he
the Halberd and the Solar Crest.
I like it. Right now especially so because there aren't BKBs up on the AM, I guess singular BKB up on the AM. And the Halberd active is a 3.0 second disarm on AM, and it can't be purged by his Manta. It can only be purged by Magic Immunity. So if AM jumps in and expects just to Manta it off and fight back, it won't really go well. And if he doesn't have an MKB trying to hit this Abaddon, who has basically 50%, 40% evasion, it's going to be pretty tough to do.
In deficit.
Alright, Sand King got camped in the top
Yep.
lane here, but
Ego has
fast
the
respawn timer.
convenient double damage rune picked up. Unfortunately, there is no creep waves pushed in. That's kind of the Tinker effect, and they aren't able to get anything out of this kill or DD rune.
And so the OD actually has fallen behind a bit in farm, but the Slaughter has kept up. So,
Yeah, it's basically a 3-core lineup, which is alright.
so they're doing okay. Slaughter is going to be a pretty significant threat in these fights if they don't ignore him.
Right. And then once he gets his BKB, it's not like they can just kill him easily anyway. It's only Terrorblade that can really deal with him anymore. And Terrorblade doesn't really want to be focusing a Slardar in the fights when there are higher priority targets like the OD, like the AM.
Slaughter is actually a pretty scary hero. He just gets on top of you. Even though the Tinker is going to have problems with him when the BKB comes out. And now AM's not going to go for that Axe. He's going to buy BKB instead. And this is when they're going to try to end the game. I would say BKB on OD, BKB on Slaughter, and BKB on AM. And they're ready to take a game-winning fight.
And the Roshan should be up soon too, so you could see him just like drop his boots on the AM, get the Ags and Aegis, and just kind of be that frontliner tank. So, UConn, are you saying they're on a time limit here? Like they have to do it in this next opportunity once they get all these items, or is there still a secondary option? Actually,
I mean,
AM.
they have until a while for their BKBs to get low. And that point, they're going to be very vulnerable to the Tinker once again. But with these 10-second BKBs, even 9 seconds, 8 seconds, they're very strong.
Where did AM's money go?
He bought a BKB.
Did he?
He had, yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah,
he had about 4,000 gold. He bought a BKB. Now he's up to about 2,000.
It completely
Yeah.
just didn't notice. And there will be the sheep from Tinker, and now it looks like AM's gonna just be sheep locked and killed by the entire squad from RIT. They're just
That's
waiting.
a very big kill, especially with him not having a buyback.
They
He lost
don't know
like
it.
He lost 700 gold for that.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. That's a high death cost. He already spent all of his reliable. All he had left was unreliable from farming away. But yeah, they don't really expect him not to have buyback. It's an AM who's just been farming away, so they assume he probably does, and they're probably not going to push off of it. But they could get Roshan, which would be worth it.
Yeah, that would slow down UConn as well. 'Cause they want that Aegis to try to end the game, well, either on like the OD or someone, as the AM is 6 slotted at this point. But
Doesn't look like they know, but with Abaddon walking in, they will scout it out.
they can do it. I definitely try to go for it here. That
Yeah.
was RIT, but I guess
They
they're not
probably
too sure.
should, but yeah, they're just content farming away. They feel that their late game is superior, and with AM being the only real threat in terms of net worth right now for them, I think they're content with just the status quo of the game.
As I believe they do see the BKBs come out from UConn, so they're a bit iffy in terms of taking a fight right now, 5-on-5. They just gotta try to hold, beta fight with those hexes, and
Okay, so something that the chat is saying right now with this Ags AM, I don't know if, I'm just going to clear things up. The Ags returns whatever spell is casted on him as if he had an Ags as well. So if Sand King stuns him, he stuns back as if he is an Ags Sand King, so he will have the Ags effect on that stun. Likewise, if he gets lasered by Tinker, he's going to shoot a laser back that blinds the entire enemy team, which is pretty silly to think of, but it's a pretty good item. The only bad downside to it is this Sunder, which just kind of nullifies it. But for every other spell, it is very good. And as expected, UConn goes right for the Aegis that RIT passed up. And with that, they're going to probably look to push high ground. He's putting his boots in the backseat for this Aegis. And now this AM is at pretty much full swing. If he's unable to win the game with what he's got now, there's not too much more he can go. He can probably get a Moon Shard, maybe an MKB, and then if worse comes to worse, Rapier.
well, he's hitting the 30k net worth mark. This is either where he wins or loses.
Or, like an Alchemist now, you can just give away money with Moon Shards. So you can give a Moon Shard to his Slardar and his OD. But that's like ultra late. That's if this game goes to like 60-70 minutes, because he doesn't farm quite as much as a Alchemist. Ritz in the jungle.
Oh my!
And Bellicosa just solos him. Insane right click coming out of that Amplify right click from
Yeah,
Slardar.
I was talking about this Slaughter character I show, and I would say
Yeah.
you put a Slaughter against an AM actually, and he's actually more scary at this point.
Give Slardar an AC and a Moonshard, and he'll just solo kill anybody.
Yeah, you don't really think about it like that, but with him going these semi-carry items such as the Shadow Blade and Echo Saber, he's hitting very, very hard with very little.
And look at it this way. A Void, who, you can see in the safe lane carry role, has a bash that's 25% chance. It deals like 80 damage, I believe, or 100 damage magical. This hero has the same chance to bash. It has 120 physical damage, so it's amplified by your minus armor. And you just hit so fast with the build that he's going. And you have a built-in stun. A guaranteed lockdown to set it all up. So this hero is nothing to laugh at come late game.
And Abaddon didn't go carry build.
Question
he kind
for
of
you.
went these support items.
Question
Yep.
for you though. Since this Slardar is scaling to be a core, what do you go at level 25 talent? Do you go that extra bash chance and just hope to perma-bash somebody with max attack speed? Because 35% chance to bash, if you have like pretty much the attack speed he has now or anything faster, you could permanently bash somebody. And it doesn't look like this spell has an internal cooldown at all. So with a max
Yeah,
attack
plus
speed
10%,
Slardar,
that's pretty good. His 20 strength is a lot, but I mean, if
perma
he's
back
getting
gank.
much farm, perma bashing is gonna get him win him the game.
Yeah.
The 20 strength is gonna keep him alive for a bit longer.
I would like to see a Moonshard AC 10% extra bash Slardar just soloing a Terrorblade, keeping him perma-bashed for like 10 seconds straight.
Yeah, with the state of the slaughter actually, and the fact that AM can buy him a Moonshard, I actually don't think that UConn are that pressured to end the game right now. And they're not really showing that at the moment, as they're kind of taking it slow still, not pressuring the high ground with this Aegis.
Yeah, they still have a couple minutes left up on it. Looks like 2 minutes left, so they have time to maybe get one more item up before they force high ground. But it's a tough feat to go high ground against the Tinker.
Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom
And they've still yet to use their BKBs yet.
Yeah, 46 minute and it's only 18 to 15 kill score. This is a classic farming game. Resident Sleeper, full AFK mode.
So AM's gonna buy himself a Moonshard here.
Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. He has the basher, he has the carry, and now he has a double damage. So here is a fully 7 slotted AM with a double damage rune. He is looking to kill somebody. If he finds Tinker here, it could be huge. He does not manage to find out the Tinker, and he just gets sheeped up. It doesn't look like there will be a return kill, however. Man, if he was like an inch to the left there on that blink and he gets the Abyssal off, that would have been a kill. Tinker does not have buyback, actually. That could have been game right there.
Yeah, he just bought out for his Bloodstun.
That could have just been game over, just with a fluke blink into the high ground for the double damage. Luckily for RITs, counting their lucky stars, they are still in this one.
It's gonna happen with Slaughter. I'm calling it. Tinker's gonna go into a lane. This is gonna see only a Slaughter. Slaughter's gonna show up, BKB, and kill him.
AM is going to be scouted out here by the Tinker. The Marches will let Ego know that something is up.
This is evident as a pretty scary game right now, because all 3 cores can potentially solo kill him at this point if they get their BKB off early enough.
Yeah, but he's
So
been
he
doing
can't get
pretty
his
well
next.
with it. He only has 3 deaths so far, and I believe all 3 of them were in lane. He was 0 and 3 at one point. So he's had quite a comeback from 0 and 3 to 4, 3, and 6 with virtually 6 slot. He's going to be going for Dagon here at the end, probably to swap out for his Ether Lens, I believe. Is that the right swap, or do you keep Ether Lens for that cast range?
Probably is gonna get rid of it for the Dagon. He already has plus 75 cast range. Of course, that's not as much, but
In this bottom jungle, it looks like Village Fish will be caught out. He'll actually get Yulesed up. He gets away with 10 health, and meanwhile, Ego and Melody coming in with the BKBs, looking to get a return kill here. They will get the stun out onto the Tinker, but he will just Bloodstone Suicide. Now that will be a 2 for 0 so far. There is buyback this time on Tinker, so it's not the end of the world. And Eradicate is kind of stuck in a rough spot. Does he have a blink? He does not, so there is no escape hopeful for him. And Melody now, 28 stolen intelligence. AM, everybody pretty much healthy. I guess not everybody. OD is pretty low and the CM is too. But off of this now, if they look to push high ground here, this Terrorblade will run out of Metamorphosis in about 10 seconds. He will get sheeped up here, and now Ego is going in the back line. They will blow him up. They use the AM ultimate. And they force the buyback out of Tinker, so they do have to escape. They are pretty low on most of their heroes here, but if they escape with their lives, they just force a buyback. They killed 4 heroes. And it's looking pretty good for them still. And as we saw, like, that Slardar was a pretty big factor for killing the Tinker there. And now if they kill him one more time, it could just be the end of the game.
So Terrorblade actually hasn't used his BKB yet either. He got caught by surprise there with the Hex. And
a little bit too cautious, a little bit too, I guess not cautious, a little too greedy, not popping it. And it ended up biting him in the butt there. Then again, you're against a Blink Hex, so it's not like you have much of a reaction time at all there. So I don't really blame him, but unfortunate circumstances lead him to die. Lead to him dying. And now AM sitting on 7k gold. I don't think he's realized or remembered that you can buy Moonshards for your teammates. Since you're not AM, everyone just thinks of that as a alchemist thing. Sorry, you're not an alchemist. I would like to see him buy, you know, a Moonshard or 2. Give it to his Slardar and OD, probably the OD
Even
first.
Benj can start scaling. She is level 21 now. She has the plus 65 damage talent. She's hitting pretty hard.
And a pause coming up, and they need a tissue. His nose is running quite quickly, I assume.
It is springtime.
It
Allergies.
is. Yeah. All right. So, what items change this game right now for RIT? They have a Lotus coming up, which is really nice against this Blink Sheep. It's really nice against the AM ultimate if you manage to get that off. AM does have a pretty okay mana pool, so if he's running low due to the Manta, due to, you know, mana break from the Terrorblade illusion, he could just blow himself up and other teammates. But there's nothing really crazy coming out soon, because if Terrorblade buys that Butterfly, for example, I would prefer to go against the Terrorblade with a Butterfly and no buyback than one who's saving buyback. So it's kind of a tough spot for RIT. They want to buy these items, they want to finish them, but they know the value of buyback, especially with Tinker not having his right now.
I think they need to go all in at this point. If the Terrorblade dies and buys back, he's not going to be able to do much, especially if he's already committed his meta.
Right.
They
But
need to get a good full-on fight.
let's say, for example, he gets caught out by a Blink Sheep again, he doesn't get his meta, and then he doesn't have buyback because he bought a Butterfly. That's just the end of the game right there. So it's really a tough situation to be in, because you want to be able to fight with everything you got, considering, you know, one bad fight could be the end of the game for you, but you also don't want to just all in on that.
And the thing is, the BKBs are still very healthy for UConn as well. 9 seconds on all of their cores.
That's the product of this passive game that they've been playing. Net worth is now 20,000 in favor of UConn after that fight. It was only 10,000 before it, so they double it in the matter of a few seconds, and then XP is also approaching 20k. This game is just looking more and more in their favor right now, and I'm clutching at straws trying to find a way that RIT comes back. They've been playing really well, holding it off this long, but are they just delaying the inevitable?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
feel
the
like
case?
it's pretty much as a result of them really playing not to lose rather than playing to win. So they kind of were just getting their farm, but at the same time they weren't contesting UConn and anything they were trying to do, especially these Roshan attempts where they were just getting Roshan after Roshan for free. After that pretty big AM kill, I like them to do something, but the fact that they just farmed it away and then let UConn get the Aegis for free once AM respawn, they kind of just lost grasp of the game. They need to at least do something, maybe pressure tower, do something.
Yeah.
But once the BKBs came out, the fighting came too hard for them. They really need to use that timing where they didn't have BKBs on all 3 cores on the side of UConn yet, but once that hit, they can't really do that anymore. So at this point, their only hope is to sit high ground and hope for the best.
Yeah, and it's like we were saying at the start of the game, it's not like one team massively outscales the other in the late game, it just depends on how these fights are starting and how these fights are, or where they're being fought. And right now that is definitely in UConn's favor. They're picking where and when to fight and how to start them. And that's just the advantage of having control of pretty much the entire map. They have control of both jungles right now. They're getting so much more out of everything. And now AM finally went back for that MKB. So even if there is a Butterfly coming out of this Terrorblade, even with this evasion coming out of Abaddon, it's not looking too good for him. What does he swap it in for, though? His boots? Does he just go bootless? Yes, mobility is nice in a fight, but you're going to be slowed so much by everything anyway that your blink is going to be your primary way to move around. With Curse of Avernus, with the Caustic Finale, with the Terrorblade Scotty, all of these things just slow
He's
him
gonna
so
go
much.
bootless.
Yep. And did he... I guess he didn't buy Moonshard for his teammates because he did that. Yeah, he didn't go any Moonshard. So there still is room for them to grow even beyond the 7-8 slot AM. And that's something I really like the change, because it makes this late game a little more interesting. It's not just... I guess it makes it a little less interesting if the teams just farm it passively. But it makes it more interesting and more variety in these late game builds. No team is just like pigeonholed into, I can only get this big, and then all of a sudden it comes down to push or lose.
And next up, you're gonna be able to build Aegis into items.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to combine every item into like some super item, and Aegis is gonna be purchasable for 30,000 gold and silly stuff like that. Now I hope it never gets to that point.
Oh man, that's like a custom game. Kill Roshan, claim his special item that only occurs after he's died 5 times, and you build that into a super divine.
Does 1,000 damage. Oh, and there's gonna be a blink stun from AM, but he will be immediately turned up upon by this blink sand king.
He's
And now
dead. No meta and hit him, bro. Oh, they were suspecting a save, so so he didn't want to commit it. Well, he ended up committing it anyways. It looks like Venge will die.
And I think they're fine with that. They will have a 50-second gap between Meta being up and Vengeful being up. So, and Roche is now alive as well, so they have an Aegis plus cheese available for the side of UConn. If they take it now, they could just get away with murder here. Getting a free Aegis and cheese when you're down a hero, and then going back when the hero's up and Meta is down. This is the recipe for them to win the game, I believe. Also, I would like to see if Vlad's picked up by somebody, just so these heroes can lifesteal up a bit. Both Bellicoso and Ego hit really hard, but have no way to really fix their health issues. And yes, Slardar did go for the bash chance, so we are going to see a perma bash on one of these heroes sometime in this next fight, I hope.
TB does go for the butterfly. Doesn't help him against AM, but will still help him out against OD and even the Slaughter.
Right. And it's nice armor. So it's not only the evasion, but it does provide armor, it does provide damage, it provides pretty much everything that a Terrorblade wants.
Can a 40k net worth AM close out the game here?
I hope so. He's nearing the point where he's almost double the other cores. And if we look at the net worth lead, he's at 44k net worth, and most of that lead is on him because the net worth lead is 25k and XP is 15k, so the game is slowly still just creeping in their favor. And they still have room to grow. With this Aegis, I imagine they're going to want to push it, but I'm surprised they're not going when this Metamorphosis is down. They only have 30 seconds left on it, and they're still just farming away. Looks like the global Moonshard was used. Who did he use it on? OD. So he buys a Moonshard, uses it globally. For some reason, it's a global use. OD gets a free attack speed, and now maybe they're gonna look to do something. Hopefully. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe he's a bit spooked there. When he went high ground, he almost died.
You know something
Maybe
that I
they're-
just noticed? Nobody on the side of UConn has boost travel. Not a
Yeah.
single one of them. It's 54 minutes, they're farming like crazy, and they're rich. But they don't have boots of travel on anyone. They're
Half
just,
of them don't have TPs either.
I guess it's just the state of the game. They don't need to teleport anywhere when they're controlling the entire map. But I'd still like to see that for potential
They have 3
rat.
backpack TPs, and then Slaughter and Crystal Mania don't have TPs.
Looks like he might be going for a kill here up on RIT. RIT's Sand King, but it doesn't look like he will get anything out of it. And now the March spam and laser spam or rocket spam is coming out. This push is not very easy into a prepared Tinker. AM is going for the rat play, however. Goes top lane. Terrorblade is there with the reflection, but there will be a blink OD. He will get the sheep stick off, but he will be
Don't
sheeped
swap.
up, swapped out. That will be a kill onto the Rubik, and now TB is in full right click mode. Bellicoso has to be very careful. He will almost go down here.
Oh
There's this
my, that
three-man-
Epi said, oh my!
the rocket. Okay, the 3-man stun Epi into a 3-man bouncing rocket, and now AM is
AM's
caught.
dead.
If there is a
X.
sheep stick, he's running low on mana though, so they have to kill him here, and they do. So they get a triple kill there for Evaden.
And
That
OD
laser paying off.
Oh, OD's thanking himself that he has a backpack TP because he's able to TP away. Otherwise, he'd been stuck in the trees in a very precarious
And now
scenario.
Ritz drawing the arrow, run down mid, guys. This is our chance to get something out of the game. They threw a little bit. They lost Aegis on the OD. They lost 3 other heroes. Luckily, AM does have buyback, but both of these supports surprisingly don't. And
Oh, that was Terrorblade's 10-second BKB.
yep. And Metamorphosis still being up for... Oh, no, it just went down. So they probably won't be able to get racks out of this, but they are trying to force a buyback at the very least. Bellicoso up here, he will find a solo Rubik, and with a few extra right clicks, he will go down. Free pick off here and there. That might actually be enough just to dissuade this push out of RIT. It's not that easy to push high ground back into this other team, especially if they overcommit and have AM buyback and get some kills. It could,
They had a potential to go in OD there, but
it's just one of those high-risk plays that if it goes poorly, if AM buys back and they get some return kills.
the supports are also returning.
Also, let's see. Buyback status. Most heroes in the game have buyback. Only the supports. 3 of the supports don't.
So Tinker's Dagoned up now.
Dagon 5? Dagon 3. He
has
could finish
Dagon
it, but
5.
he doesn't want
Wants
to
it,
buyback.
but doesn't
He wants to
wanna
save
go without
buyback. And now it's back to the slow resident sleeper game. This is interesting.
Well, that's the BKB down. 1 more second for UConn. The more that happens, the better it is for RIT. So once those BKBs got into 5 seconds, Tinker is going to be a major threat. Actually, AM didn't use his BKB in that last fight. That's probably why he went down.
AM, yeah.
Yeah, he thought he could save it, and he got hexed.
And that's the issue of pushing high ground. If they jump on somebody and it's not the Tinker, Tinker has the ease of reinitiation whenever and wherever he wants. He has huge cast range and the blink for mobility.
I think the biggest thing about that fight was Rubik still had the stolen swap.
Yeah, Rubik did have to buy back there, so I guess that's the one, you know, saving grace for that nasty, nasty fight loss.
Taking the tier 3, they're going to be able to hit the shrines, though.
Yeah. That is something. It gets some of the map control gone, but now Ego is in a very rough spot.
Oh
Ritz is going to be blinking in with a full epi channel. They have bots coming in on the Tinker, and now it's going to be a perma sheep onto the AM, and he's just going to get blown up.
40k net worth, AM dying in 3 seconds.
Yep.
That's the new meme.
His team just died. Like, his team, sorry, just showed killing that bottom shrine and then going towards bottom lane. So AM just hitting that by himself is beyond greedy. Not expecting the preemptive smoke play from RIT just being in the center of the map.
Well, it looks like he doesn't have to buy back last time, but for sure this time he will.
Yep.
There's just a meta TB running down the mid lane.
Meta will run out in 10-15 seconds, so it's not too bad. By the time the creeps even arrive, Meta will be out. But even still, without Metamorphosis, this TB can still
I think
hit
he's going to be able to
buildings.
hit it under backdoor. It's going to break the backdoor in time. Not the
Oh yeah, it
creeps,
did just break,
but-
you're right. But yeah, Meta will run out, but even still,
Yeah,
there's
it's
a
gonna
lot
run
of
out
pressure
now.
here. They're in danger of losing a fight or two, but the problem is if AM buys back here, and he gets picked off one more time, that could very well be the end of the game.
Fort is used.
OD doing what he can, but he's going to be
OD's
Blink Dagon
dead.
and just blown up. That Blink Dagon did so much damage, and now Slardar is in the backline. He's going to try to 1v1 this,
Oh, the Solar Crest doing so much.
Yep. And now there's the double buyback. They're looking to get something. They have to get something here out of UConn. Committing 2 buybacks and getting only a Sand King kill in
Bellicoso.
return. It's not enough. If they manage to stun lock this Terrorblade and kill him, this could be the return kill that they're
Well,
looking
the
for. But
laser's
Tinker
coming
is also
through,
there. They will manage to blow him up with the Mana Void. Ego searching for Evaden, but won't find him, and now Eradicate is in way too deep. He is losing just a bunch of intelligence, and now Melody has 40 stolen intelligence. AM bought back. OD bought back. They killed only 3. Are they just going to force down middle here? They don't have any creeps. If you look at the creeps, they're just doing this through back door. Yes, they can do it because they have an AM, but it's not ideal. And he's just going to
Tinker
bot
can
back.
cut the creeps, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is they don't really need the creeps because they have an AM, and they probably could have forced a Rax there, but they want to get creeps inside the base, and they want to try to take more of it and force the buyback.
They gotta protect this creep wave.
If Terrorblade doesn't have to buy back here, that's a huge win from RIT. And now AM's looking to do something. Rubik plants the ward, scouts him out. And if they jump on him here, it could have been pretty big, but they don't really have the damage without the Terrorblade up. They will use 1 buyback. They see AM preparing for that push, and he'll just get instantly swapped out. They're still looking to go for more, I'd imagine, from UConn. They used 2 buybacks, and Terrorblade still has them.
Bellicoso, no.
And you know, this is actually the ideal time for them to push because Terrorblade doesn't want to buy back with only 15 seconds left, so fighting now is actually a really good idea from UConn. Fortify will be used, but I'm not sure if it's enough.
The mischance. his chance.
And it looks like they will go for evade in here. He will get purged up, and the ult will come out. The Mana Void blows up this Tinker. Now that's a buyback
Yeah, but
on
keep
Tinker.
in mind the OD and the AM don't have buyback. They have to be very careful right now.
Yep, and actually AM might be stuck
no.
a little too deep here. They don't have the swap save yet, and the right clicks will come out. Now that is a dead AM. Yes, they use the
That's
buyback
not
on the Tinker.
Slaughter. Oh, there. Evan is doing work. OD has to watch out here. This could be a straight throne.
He will blink, he will get back. Okay, so now it's 3 against the world. CM will be up shortly. That is a pretty big win for RIT because they got the kill onto the AM. And now there's no Fortify, there's no AM, and there's no Venge. I don't know if they know that there's no Venge, but Venge
We
doesn't
saw how
have buyback
fast
due to
the
money.
OD died last time too when he was just trying to defend.
Yep, he just got one shot by that Dagon, laser Dagon rocket combo. Oh boy, this game is surely becoming more and more interesting despite it being 60 minutes long now.
6-second BKB. Looks like Tinker's gonna buy a Moonshard for the Terrorblade. He's doing it.
I like it. Moonshard does
Is
nothing
it-
for him.
He needs to get to a secret shot, but he's gonna do it. Alright. Well, they know AIM doesn't have buyback here. Why are they hitting top?
They
What's going
probably
on?
want to go for the entire megas rather than just straight for base.
They can't throne in time.
Looks like Belicoso will be going in for the backline, but he didn't
he doesn't have
preemptively
buyback.
BKB. Belicoso didn't BKB there. He will
gets
BKB
it
to
off,
try to get
though.
away. Okay, he barely lives there. They will get the kill onto the Sand King.
Now, OD is dead though without buyback. 120 seconds. Crystal Maiden's gone as
And
well.
now Slaughter just needs to stay alive, wait for this AM to come up, sacrifice this Rax, they can't defend
Well,
it anymore. And maybe get a return kill on these heroes on the way out if they teleport to the shrine, but it could also be the end of the game if they get caught out doing this aggressive counterplay.
Oh, so Terrorblade actually went for the 15 all stats. I'm not sure about that. I think the Sunder actually is so legit because Tinker's going back in and out of the fight. He can just Sunder the Tinker.
Use
and
it as
then
like a mobile healing.
Yeah. He Sunder the Tinker and then Sunder the someone else to bring them back to full HP as well.
Oh my
Like
god.
he can
That's
Sunder the Tinker, then Sunder Eradicate, and then when Tinker comes back, he Sunders them again.
That's just being silly now. But it
I
could be
mean,
viable, yeah.
It would be both at full HP with minimal costs.
Yeah, only takes 20 seconds to full heal multiple heroes. I like it. Alright, so the double damage rune will be scouted out, and they're going to take it on Eradicate instead of Terrorblade, but they're going to go right for Roche here. UConn knows that this is up by now, and they want to contest it because they use buyback on 2 cores, and if they could get Aegis, you know, it could kind of offset that disadvantage they have right now, but it's going to tick down very quickly to Terrorblade right-click with Abaddon amping it up with the Curse of Avernus and Vlad's. And now...
That's Abaddon with his Aghanims now.
Yeah, it's a very tough hold now for UConn. This game turned right around very quickly. Now Terrorblade is actually top net worth with the free Moonshard buff on him. Yes, AM gave away 4,000 gold, and Terrorblade got a free 4,000 gold, so he's ahead due to that, but it's still, you know, this Terrorblade is getting scarier and scarier by the second.
And RT didn't mess around as well, trying to just end the game or anything like that. They're showing composure, realizing that they feel confident that they can take this in the next following fights. So they get that Aegis and they're going for mid-racks.
Meanwhile, Belicoso goes into the backline this time, correctly using the preemptive BKB so he doesn't get interrupted. They will get a free pick-off onto Tinker, and now, or on Rubik, and now they're going to be looking to get a little more. The swap-in will be there onto the Sand King. Now it will be a 2-for-1, Venge also going down at the cost of the Sand King swap. And if they manage to get Tinker here, it could be huge. Belicoso is searching for a little bit more in the back lines. They do not manage to get him. They stun up Eradicate, and they are not able to kill him either. But now Terrorblade is stuck in the middle of nowhere. He will get blown up by that Mana Void. And luckily he
He has
does
the
have
cheese
Aegis.
though. Eradicate, use your cheese, bro! Oh no.
And now if they
That's
manage to
stunned
kill
up.
Terrorblade here, again, now, oh. The game just went right back into UConn's favor. An incredibly good hold, killing off the 2 supports, or the support and a Sand King at the start of that fight. I guess that's the support. They're kind of a dual offlane role, but regardless, 4 for 0.
If Abaddon
and
got the
Aegis.
cheese off there, I think they could have just won the game. But he got bashed. He needed to use it immediately, as soon as he could. But he wanted to save it for a bit longer, got bashed, and between the AM and the Slaughter, I don't think he can afford to hope that he can get his cheese like that.
And now the shoe is
on
on
low
the other
HP.
foot. The Abaddon doesn't have buyback. They have 4 heroes, soon to be 5, pushing into 3. And Tinker used buyback, I believe. He does not have it up for
Yeah,
2
he
more
does-
minutes. Yeah, he does
doesn't
not have it
have
up for
it.
2 minutes. So this is UConn's chance to,
He went very close to dying there too. Bellicoso was on his heels, but he decided to turn back around to get that TB kill. I don't think they want to use the buyback here. Oh,
but they might have to.
Sure.
Tinker getting caught out. He will get blown up, and now Terrorblade bought back, but it's already a little too late.
he doesn't
to save
have
the
meta though.
Tinker. The Hex will come out on the Sand King. The right click's chunking him down, OD's right clicks, and now it's 3 dead, no buyback. 4 dead, buyback on Rubik's, probably going to be used very quickly. And now it's tough hold no matter who has buyback or who's going to buyback. It's a
They have
5
to let
versus 2 at
everything
best.
go.
And if UConn recognizes this, they could just go for the throne here. But it looks like they're going to play it a little bit safe, go for the Megas first, and they might even have time after that to go for and just end the game.
30 seconds they have.
So
They have to
this
stall
was
for 30 seconds.
this was almost a huge 3-2-2 by UConn, getting to the point where they were losing Rax top lane. They almost lost Rax mid. They are going to go for this final fight onto the Terrorblade. Terrorblade going down, that's game over. They don't have Tinker up, and the Rax will die before that even happens, or the base will die before anything is even possible to be defended. Whew. It's done. 68 minutes in. GG is called. That is a UConn
man.
taking game 1. Remember, the winner of this series goes to the LAN finals, loser being disqualified with a $4,000 or $2,000 prize. Pretty
Yeah,
big
it was-
stakes on the line.
It was all down to RIT making that decision to not go for the all-in play. It wasn't even all-in. They just needed to run the TB in there, do as much as they can, get the heroes dead again, and they could have just straight thrown. Because TB's life didn't matter at that point because he had buyback, but instead they played it more passive, waited for Roshan to be taken, and tried to push mid with it. Didn't work out for them, and kind of got turned back around on them. And at that point, they didn't have the buybacks either, so they died once and they lost the game off of it.
Well, it started as a very passive game, but it turned out to be quite a thrilling one. Who do you have to give Band Game MVP? Band Gaming MVP of the match to? I would give it to Bellicoso personally, just because he made so much happen in the early game, and then those clutch plays at the end, killing off the key heroes before the fight started.
He was finding the right targets when he needed to, and he was very close on the Tinker's trails a lot of the times, and he did get on top of him a couple of times. So impressive slaughter play. If he didn't scale like he did, I would say that RIT might just have taken the game, but the fact that he got that much farm up on the slaughter, even without Midas, showed that he knew how to farm on the hero, he knew how to get the pick off. So
Right.
a good slaughter play from him.
Alright, well, with Game 2 starting up shortly, we're going to give a quick plug to our sponsors. I'm going to go get some water because I know talking for 68 minutes about a very passive game for the most part is a little bit tough. So I will be back shortly. Thank you guys. I am Zingle. This was Hachiko. We'll see you in about a minute or two.